Hello again and welcome to my channel. This is Life Lived Well and my name is Christy. I am so happy you've joined me again today. And on this channel, I talk about lifestyle, beauty, a little tech, and wellness. And if that sounds good to you, I encourage you to subscribe and ring the bell so you can be notified when I upload new videos. All right, so last week I started a series on teaching ESL online, and in that video I covered uh, basically an introduction and covered the pros and cons. And in this video today I am going to talk about the requirements. So what do you need to teach English online? Some of these things will apply to teaching online in general, but right now I'm really going to stick with teaching ESL, mostly focused on teaching in China. But again, this can apply to other companies as well. So last week's video, I talked about the pros and the cons of teaching English online. This week, and in fact, I actually recorded this part with that, but it just got too long, so I decided to divide them into two videos. So for this week, I will be talking about the requirements. So what do you need to teach English online? All right, let's go ahead and jump right in. So the requirements for teaching online uh, are going to vary, and they'll vary from country to country. They'll vary from company to company. They will vary from season to season. So for instance, if you got hired 3 years ago for a company in China, those teaching requirements are quite different than what the requirements are now. So with that, as you're looking online, you're looking for videos and just pulling all your resources together, make sure that you are getting something that is fresh. I recommend at least within 6 months, but even then, for things on teaching techniques, that's probably fine to get older videos. But if you're looking at, hey, what's it like to work for XYZ company, I would get as fresh of a video or blog or Facebook post as you can, because it really can change significantly. So with China, they do require a bachelor's degree now. Some companies even require, or at least request, a master's or like a master's in education. But most of the ones, all the ones that I've worked for, require a bachelor's degree, and it can be in anything. So I have a degree in wildlife fishery sciences, obviously not English, but that allows me to work in China. I also had to get a certification to teach English as a foreign language. So there are a lot of great resources. I got mine through Groupon. I recommend that, but you want to make sure that it is at least 120 hours. I got one that was either 150 or 160 hours just to make sure. And they're very picky about if you can get a certification number and like an actual certificate. You also want to make sure that you can get a letter from them stating what their credentials are. My company, I have not been able to get that, to be completely honest, and it may become a problem at a certain point. There are also some online companies that are ESL companies like Qkids or Magic Ears that also have their own ESL or TEFL or TESOL certifications. Now, from my understanding, not all ESL companies are accepting the Qkids certificate, and that may be the same for Magic Ears as well. The cool thing about the Magic Ears one is that it's $20, and you don't necessarily have to have the certificate. once you get hired, there are some companies, Magic Ears in particular, that you can go through the hiring process. If they like you and they hire you, then you can go ahead and get your certificate after the fact. So I always encourage you, whatever company you're interested in, go to their website, go and see if you can find a facts section, an FAQ, and find out specifically what are the requirements, what type of certification, and do they offer a certification? Do you have to have it before you are hired or before you go through the interview process? The interview process is a whole other topic, so I'll make sure to add that in one of the upcoming videos. All right, let's talk about some other requirements. What country are you from? Again, this varies from company to company, country to country. So, Magic Ears right now, and this has changed. So you definitely want to go to the company websites before you apply. They are accepting U.S. basically native speakers, and you can be from the U.S., Canada, Australia, South Africa, and the UK. There are also some companies that won't hire you if you're not living in a specific country, most notably the US or Canada. And a lot of that has to do with background checks. So, again, check out the websites for that company for that time. Even if you watch a video, even if you hear somebody talk about it, just double check before you get too invested in the application process. Let's talk about equipment. So obviously this is an online position, so they will have minimum requirements for your computer. I double checked right before I came on to see what people were asking for. And what's interesting is they seem to be moving away from specific hardware requirements. They're just saying an updated computer. And I think that's wise on their case, because what's happening is it's a lot harder to compare like an Apple M1 computer to a Dell or Intel computer. And the the programs are updating, and the hardware requirements are going to change drastically based on their updates, their platform updates. So what might have been fine 6 months ago may change today. And that can be scary, right? If you've been teaching online for, a year, and then all of a sudden they have an update and your computer is bogged down, you may be, communicating with their technical team, and they may say, you need to get a new computer. So I recommend that you basically just get the most updated computer that you can, or if you're not sure, just try. From my experience, they all do those checks, and they will make sure that your computer and your internet connection is going to work before you get too far down the line. Now, that being said, you do also need a good internet connection. And many of them will require, or at the very least, strongly recommend a hard line. So, this is an Ethernet. You're actually going to plug that into your computer. Now, is it impossible to teach with Wi Fi? No. And I have done it a lot. With my original company, I probably taught with Wi Fi about half of the time. Also, use Wi Fi whenever I am traveling. So don't be afraid of it, but don't rely on it solely. When I say reliable internet, you definitely need to be in a country that has a reliable internet company and has reliable power. There have been a lot of teachers that just flat out can't teach because they tend to have spotty electricity or spotty internet or just low bandwidth speeds. That's going to be a hard stop. A lot of these companies will fee you. You will get fines. You will get You will get bonus dings. A lot of repercussions happen when you can't log in on time and keep a great connection throughout your entire lesson. So that's definitely something I would say is probably the most important is, do you have good Wi-Fi? Can you keep good Wi-Fi? Do you have good electricity, and can you keep your electricity? Now, there are some of us that are in tornado or hurricane prone areas. Sometimes you get those storms coming in. So, later I will talk about some backup methods. But just know that not only do you need these things, it's also good to have some redundant systems and ways that you can stay online even when the world around you has gone offline. All right, another requirement would be a brightly lit space with no outside noise. This is something that you can remedy fairly easily, but you definitely want to have a space or a corner where you're not going to see people passing by in the background. You're not going to hear children waking up from naps or dogs barking or husbands or wives asking for whatever. You definitely want it to be quiet, and you do want it to be brightly lit. So remember, a lot of these hours are going to be at night, or at least in the dark. So you're going to need some good sources of lighting. There's some great videos online. I will probably at some later video show you my video setup. There's some inexpensive ways to do this, and then there's some really fancy, more expensive ways to do it. But you definitely want it to be brightly and evenly lit, and you want it to be, kind of tucked away, even if it's a bathroom or a closet. You also want some kind of an attractive backdrop. That can mean different things to different companies. Because I kind of go back and forth between companies, I picked something that was relatively generic. This is also relatively generic for age groups. I found that I tend to teach a lot of more advanced or not adult students, older students. So 10, 11, 12, 13, and I didn't want it to seem too childlike. And also, I was trying out teaching adults for a while and may get into that again. But this to me seemed like a good middle ground. And I actually got this off of Amazon. If you type in photo backdrops, then that's a great place to find these types of backgrounds. I don't recommend starting out with this. I bought this about 2 years in, so you definitely don't need anything fancy. I will do a whole video dedicated to setting up your classroom, all the way from a simple budget to a more, fancy budget. Are budgets fancy? No, they're not. Let's see, a smaller budget to a larger budget. How about that? All right. One last thing, and I'm sure there are some things that I am missing, but you will want one of these, and it should have one of these. So you want an actual headset that has an actual microphone and has an actual connection. And again, the name of the game is reliability, speed, connectivity, and of course, you are wanting them to hear you very well because you are teaching them English, and there are nuances to our language that the companies want the children to hear. I want the children to hear. So it is great to have a good microphone, and then the headset, of course, the ears, over the ears, will help you to really hear the children, which can be a huge challenge. So a headset is a requirement for a lot of companies, and some of them will allow, like these guys. Um, you can do this, and I think earpods actually sound really good. I find that they even sound better than AirPods, which I don't have up here. AirPods, in my opinion, I just don't find that they sound the best for the other end. I can hear really well, but I just don't like the audio quality on the other end. So you can get a gamer headset for relatively inexpensive once you get onto like the different teacher forums for Facebook, things like that. There will be a lot of people that have already made some great recommendations. I think that's it. I think we have gone over the pros, the cons, and the requirements. And I think that is a great place to wrap this up. Thank you again for choosing to spend your time with me, and I hope you have a great day. Bye bye.